I asked these guys to do 3 things for me. I asked them to have high energy, to hustle, and have fun. And here's the thing. They bought in. They bought in because I would chirp at them and I'd get on them. Hey, we're dropping our momentum here. Our energy's low. Let's hurry out on the field. And there was a couple games throughout the season that, in saying that, we kind of came back and won the game.
I think that hustle is more fun than not hustling. Both hustling and lacking hustling are contagious. If you do it, sooner or later, you're not going to be the only one doing it. I mean, it'll catch on.
Welcome to the Coaching Life Podcast. My name is Pat Martin. I'm here with my good friend, Coach Chris Stewart. Coach, how's your attitude today?
Threw me a curveball. I'd say it's positive.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, things are looking up right now, I think.
Yeah, I hustled up the hill this morning like it was my business.
I did not. I guess
Because I was a little bit late getting here. So.
I was late as well.
Might have been fake hustle then.
Oh. Got all kinds.
Because I don't go that fast every day, but I did today.
Right. Interesting. Good thought. Any idea what we're going to talk about today? What was that?
I'm going to have to turn that off. My computer is hooked up to the system.
I got
There's
you.
a Teams message coming in.
I got you.
Work never stops, folks. Work never stops.
I hope everyone out there is having a positive attitude day, and I guess not faking it.
Right.
But I have been told before by a customer service trainer that you want to fake it until you make it. That's a big
Yeah.
That's a big cliche. Or
we'll see.
Strategy.
Yeah. And there may have been a day when that worked.
Yeah.
It's hard to fool people today, though.
I tell you who it's hard to
that.
fool. It's hard to fool yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
It's impossible to fool yourself.
Yeah,
we
right.
know who we really are deep down.
Yes, absolutely. And that's that can get you in trouble a lot of times. It will. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to fool yourself, not just on the topic that we're going to talk about today, but anything in life, if you're trying to fool yourself, it's going to catch up to you eventually. That's a fact.
Indeed.
What are we going to talk about today, Coach?
Well, we polled some people about 45 minutes ago. I sent a message out to my assistant baseball coaches at Eastern and said, hey, Pat and I are getting ready to sit down in the studio and record a podcast here in about an hour.
Yeah, and
we don't have a topic.
One of those coaches came up with a horrible idea.
Well, it was a question. I said we need to make listener question, question and answer, things like that. So maybe you can throw out some questions for us to answer. And what was the question?
Question was, why can't the Browns get it together? And I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, that was last week's episode.
Yeah, well, it comes from an Eagles fan, and we already tried.
What?
We already tried.
He was an Eagles.
Oh yeah, he's an Eagles fan.
A Philadelphia Eagles fan?
Philadelphia.
Oh, come on.
Yep, absolutely.
He's fired.
Well, we tried to bring leadership from the organization, from the Eagles organization, and that didn't work. So no. But yeah, that was last week, and maybe the last time that I think about them for the for the rest of the season. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll be all right. We're 4-4, and the world is over. That hasn't happened for Browns fans in quite a while. Normally, when we're 4-4, we're pretty positive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I saw Cincinnati Bengals fans reminding themselves of that. We're 5-3, folks.
5-3. Everyone's upset. We lost to the Jets, so this thing we're horrible, pathetic.
Hey, did you see how Brady played?
Yeah, it's the
same
NFL,
day,
folks.
Yeah,
it's the NFL.
That day, last Sunday, was the day of just weird. It was Halloween night.
Yes.
On October 31st, you had 3 no-name quarterbacks, guys that just came out of nowhere and won games.
Yep.
And then you had Tom Brady throw 3 picks and lose. And yeah, Dak Prescott was hurt. I had no idea Dak wasn't going to play.
Neither did I.
And I had to look up to see who Dallas's backup quarterback was, because it's not Andy Dalton. It was last year.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, who in the world is it? Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
Mike
I saw
White
a Cooper Rush jersey in the stands. Must have been his dad.
It probably was,
Yeah.
right? Who knows? Who knows? You know, some people go to games and pretend that they know or that they've been around people that play in the NFL. You know what I'm saying?
And they refer to them in the first person?
Yes.
Yeah. Those are the same people that are wearing jerseys.
Yes, right.
Are you going to wear a jersey on January 7th?
When I get to Cleveland?
Is that the date?
You know, it's the 9th, I think.
9th?
Yeah, January 9th. So, yeah, I'll be wearing a jersey. I gotta support us.
I have one jersey that was purchased for me as a Christmas gift years ago.
Yeah.
Troy Aikman.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
My jersey says Martin on the back of it.
Okay, you got it personal. It's because you're part of the team.
Right, exactly.
So
an important
if you have a
part.
jersey with your last name on it, then you must, right? I mean, you contribute in some way. So
Exactly. I also have an Ohio State jersey with my name on the back of it. My birth year as the number 81.
All right.
So, yes.
All right. So we're not going to take any of those ideas as our podcast topic for
Heck
today.
no, we don't listen to people that suggest things.
Coach Burton had a really good idea, I thought, and maybe we'll have to make this a good. He said talk about pregame prep and focus and how to get focused in certain situations, both on and off the field.
That's
great. That's a pretty
huge.
good conversation, I think.
is.
It requires a little more time and prep. So, Coach, we'll come back to you on that one.
Yeah, and I think it's relative to the topic that we have today because it's something that is so important to to everything you do, but it's something that I think a lot of times coaches and parents, players by proxy, put so little time and effort into thinking about into getting better at, if that makes sense.
Yeah. We tend to not think that it's a skill that you can practice and get better at.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think it is.
I do too.
Okay.
It doesn't come natural to you to do this. I don't believe. And what is it we're talking about?
I think we should say that. You
Yes.
mentioned it earlier. You hustled up the hill.
Right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't come natural for a person to want to hustle. So let's talk about hustle. And I think it would be really good for us to define hustle and also a term that's become really popular in recent years, false hustle or fake hustle.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you. There was a time, a good portion of my younger coaching career, when I did not believe in fake or false hustle.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. I've changed in that regard. And there are some times that I don't want to see someone, well, it's just going to depend on how we define it.
Right.
Because I'm going to say there are times when I don't want to see someone sprint something out or do this or do that. But I think that's just because in that particular case, the wisest thing to do, the best approach, the hardest work in that moment is not sprinting. And so I don't think we can just narrow down the word hustle to be defined as running, right? Or
Yes.
running hard or going from one place to the next quickly. I think hustle has a broader definition, and that's what we hope to help define today. And maybe from a coach's perspective, help players understand what we are looking for when we say we want you to hustle, but also from a parent's perspective and people who watch the game and think, you might watch the game and think, wow, that kid really hustles. Maybe what you saw looked like hustle, but maybe that doesn't really happen all the time.
And I think that for me, that is the key of the definition is that, when you identify fake hustle when you're surprised by the hustle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
When someone hustles uncharacteristically, that's probably fake hustle.
Yeah.
Because it's not who they are. It's not their attitude.
Right.
From day to day, from moment to moment.
An attitude, a mindset, it's a character, it's who you are.
Yeah, definitely.
It might be a good time to say this. I actually have an entire page, or an
Yes.
entire section, I should say, in my baseball program playbook, my baseball team manual or playbook is, I think, the word that we're just going with now with that and what it is, because it kind of sort of insinuates this is our strategy. This is who we're going to be. This is what we want to do. And so this particular section on page 19 and 20 of this book is team character, excellence, and hustle. And in this section, I basically say, we're going to outline some general principles that describe the character that we want our baseball team to have. And a character is who you are.
Right.
It's not your reputation.
Yes.
Your character is who you, so it's not, this is what we look like. It's, no, this is genuinely who we are. And so if that's not who you are coming into the program, then it's my job as a coach to help you understand how you can change. You can change and become this type of person. And so that means we build everything that we can around these ideas. And so I define it as, the idea here is excellence. And when we think of excellence, it's not defined solely by the number of wins a team has or those kinds of, successes, particularly numbers and things like that. But I define excellence as how someone goes about their business. How are you going about your business? And I think that, hustle comes into play there as an example of excellence. And I just shared a handful of bullet points of what, hustle looks like. So here, if you're confused as to what hustle might look like, then here's what it is that we're talking about when we say that we want to do everything with excellence. And part of doing that is always hustling, always hustling. So when someone hears that, they might say, oh, okay, well, you mean like, sprinting to the plate when you're up to bat and sprinting back after you strike out and things like that. And right, you just rolled your eyes on that. We'll get to that. We'll talk about that because I have a list of things I'd like to say: fake hustle, real hustle, like multiple choice, and you and I can go through them and see if we disagree on any of them. I doubt if we will. We might. I don't know. But for me, I'll just read a handful of these bullet points. Bullet point 1, I say we will play hard for the entire game regardless of the score. We will play to win regardless of the score. If we're winning, we're going to continue to play to win. If we're losing, we're going to play to win.
Yep. And to add to the definition of hustle, if you do that one thing, I would say that is your character.
Yeah.
And you're going to probably do all the other things in this bullet list.
Yeah.
Because it's hard.
That's true.
It's hard to hustle when you're down. When things aren't going right.
Right.
It's hard to hustle.
Right. They all build on one another. They all complement one another, know. Here's an example I think of hustle, and that is no player will be bigger than the team or the game, no matter how good he may be.
Yeah.
That hit. I was just talking with you about Bryce Harper getting benched by his coach a handful of years ago, Matt Williams, when he was playing for the Nationals, because he hit a little dribbler back to the pitcher, and he just kind of jogged about 6 or 7 steps and then veered off and just jogged right into his own dugout there. And the ironic thing was the pitcher actually had a hard time getting the ball out of his glove, and he kind of bobbled the ball and kind of, and he was starting to panic, and then he looked up and Harper wasn't even down the baseline, so he just tossed it over there.
Right.
So there was a chance that Harper could have put pressure on him on that play.
Absolutely.
And sprinted it out. Well, he didn't, and Matt Williams benched him.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me play it.
Okay.
Let me play it.
This is what Matt Williams talking about.
What happened in the press conference? Yeah. So that's the background of what happened, and here it is.
Hit a little comebacker to the mound and doesn't even attempt to run it out. Skipper Matt Williams going to yank him from the game after that.
Ready to run 90 feet.
The quad again?
No, lack of hustle.
Did you?
That's why he came out of the game.
Sorry, did you say anything to him when you?
I did. We made an agreement. He and I made an agreement. This team made an agreement that when we play the game, that we hustle at all times. That we play the game with intensity and the willingness to win. And as it turned out, his spot came up. Kevin Franzen put on a nice AB against Rosenthal, but his spot came up with the ability to win the game. And that's a shame for his teammates.
The guy he put into the game in Harper's spot later came up with a chance to win the game. And he said, the guy gave a great effort, but it'd been nice to have Bryce Harper in that spot.
Sure. Yeah. That's a tough one. It reminds me of Marty Brenneman giving King Griffey Jr. a hard time for for not running out of ball to first. But now Griffey didn't stop. He finished. He made it to the base. He just
obviously didn't.
He didn't
run
sprint
with full speed. Yeah.
But the flip side to that is Griffey had battled injuries his whole career.
It's hard to define Griffey It's hard to define Griffey's character as someone who lacked hustle.
Yes.
When you watch the way he played defense.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that kind of speaks to what we're talking about a little bit, and I guess you can't take one play and define a player or a person, out of that one moment. Because I think Ken Griffey was a hustler for sure.
Yeah.
But to hear Matt Williams talk about the commitment that the team made to each other, obviously they had talked about this, and there was no injury. He wasn't. Obviously, in the situation, he was upset that he grounded back out to the pitcher, which that stinks. I've done the same thing. So in that moment, it is difficult to hustle, and that's when it comes back to, does the moment matter? Because if hustle is who you are, the moment doesn't matter. That's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
That's who you are.
Yeah. And here, Matt Williams, the manager, basically he acted on this very bullet point that I read from our manual, and that is that no player will be bigger than the team or the game.
Yes.
We expect this of everyone, and that includes you, the multimillionaire star of this team.
Yeah.
And and that's true of any team, really. I mean, you're always going to have someone who is really hard to take out of the game, right? Because,
absolutely.
And sometimes that person feels like, well, I could do whatever I want, and I'm still going to play, but that's not the character you want. And that's not the character you want. That's not the type of character you want to develop on your team. So
it's not a character that's going to bring success, as you go along in life.
Yeah.
I've noticed something. I've noticed that a lot of kids, I think, have issues hustling because I feel like they don't think it's a cool thing to do.
Yeah, that is an issue. It's a weird thing, because I think that hustle is more fun than not hustling. Like, I mean, both hustling and lacking hustling are contagious. Like if you do it, sooner or later, you're not going to be the only one doing it. Yes. I mean, it'll catch on. If you hustle, then sooner or later, somebody else is going to hustle, and then you find 2 or 3 other people are, and it becomes really contagious.
Yes.
And then, of course, the negative side of that is also true.
Yes.
If for some reason you feel like it's cooler to, I don't know. There's a weird ego thing about going hard, and the weird thing is it's in the opposite direction. The ego is well, it doesn't look as cool to go hard. I don't get that, because our pros, like, you would never see that out of Michael Jordan. And maybe it's because, Jordan and Kobe and all those guys made it look easy, made it look effortless. And so it looks like, sometimes I wonder about that. It's like, what? You see a kid like just jogging down the court in a basketball game. And you're like, why? Why do you choose that? Like, you're not panning. You're not winded. I mean, if you're winded, your coach is going to take you out. But why do you do that? And it's almost like, well, are they emulating their heroes? And do they assume that those heroes, those guys on TV, are loafing because they're actually making it look easy? They're really giving. I just don't know. I mean, you don't get to that level and not be a hustler. You just don't.
Right. And you know what? You want to know the opposite truth of that is, you see that, and then you see a player that goes out and does the opposite and absolutely just gives everything they have up and down the floor, wherever they're going on the field, and they stand out to you.
Yeah.
And the people that that are really evaluating it from a sports perspective, from a competitive perspective, absolutely love those players.
You get people fired up. Yeah, you get the fans fired up. You get if you got coaches watching at the next level, they're noticing you. The opponents are noticing you. They're making an account for where you're at, because you're having an effect in the game. That's not fake in any way at all.
Right.
That's not false. That's having an actual impact in the game because of your hustle.
Yep.
And I just think that And why? Why do fans get excited and juiced about that? Because it's fun. It's more fun to hustle than not hustle.
Sure.
Yet there's this weird ego coolness factor to not doing it.
I think I don't know what it is. You know, I've been talking about
Be chill. It's cooler to be chill. Well, not on the sports field. It's not.
you know where else it's not. I don't think, but I've gotten called on the
dance floor.
on the Fortnite battlefield.
Here we go.
Here's a term that you may not know, but it fits into
Guarantee you, I don't know.
Try hard.
Well, not in that context that you're saying it. Probably.
Well, it's probably the same thing. I'm horrible at this game.
Don't try.
No, I'm horrible at this game. You know, so if I'm playing with somebody that's really good, I'm really focused in and trying my best to just.
Also, you're a tryhard.
I'm a tryhard.
That's a noun.
They're just
not
like,
a verb.
Yes, right.
Okay.
Yes, sorry. They're just like, Pat's a tryhard.
Okay.
You know, or someone that is using a gun that gives them an advantage that other people
Wiping
don't.
everybody out.
Yeah, they're like, well, they're a tryhard because they want to win. You know what I mean? I'm like, of
course
what
I
does
do.
that even mean? Right. I want to win. I want to be the best that's in the game right
I'm
now.
going to do whatever I can to win.
But it takes that much for me just to be like bad. So
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know what it is about. But I tell you this, Coach, I think it might be in a little bit of the way that we try to develop our athletes, that we try to develop our kids, and you know we really aren't putting enough focus on this important factor of, you know, the type of player that they're going to be, the type of person that they're going to be. And, you know, we talk about mechanics a lot. We talk about winning a lot. We talk about strategy a lot. But I think we miss some of these very important things. And that's, I think, you know, Coach Burton bringing up, you know, preparation and knowing how to handle certain situations. Man, those are things that we should coach.
Yeah.
And that just, you know, hardly ever find their way into coaching plans. So I think it has something to do with that. I think it has something to do with the way that the generation of kids don't spend time competing as a hobby. You know, because that when you say hustle isn't natural, I agree, because I think of those scenarios that when I was a kid, I was out playing wiffle ball or kickball or you know, flashlight tag or ball tag, whatever it is, anything like that. And you know, I remember running as hard as I could. Right. You know, I remember being tired and because I wanted to win, and I was never afraid of, you know, worrying about whether it was cool or not.
Looks.
Yeah, because I
my
wanted to win.
tongue's hanging out. I'm sweating like crazy. I'm gritting my teeth, and I'm trying to run as fast as I can. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, so I guess you're learning that. You're learning how to hustle because you're owning the desire to hustle. You want to hustle because there's a prize on the other side. So I'm not for sure our kids are getting that as much anymore. And on the flip side of that, we've talked about this in the past. You know, in travel ball, you know, basketball, baseball are two sports that would be good examples of this. We're playing multiple games in one day.
Right. We've talked about that.
We're kind of training
them to hold back a little bit.
Right.
To save some.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I worry about things like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
There are reasons why I think there are reasons why there are rules in National Federation of High School Sports for the number of games you're allowed to play in one day.
Yeah.
You know, doubleheader is it. You can't play 3 games in one day.
Right. Yeah.
In baseball and softball. It might be different in volleyball, I think, in other sports, but when they have those little tournament round robin
Well,
things.
normally when they do things like that,
I think it's
they
the same
split
in
them. They split them in half.
basketball. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Let's play a little game.
Okay.
I've got a handful of scenarios. I don't know, 4 or 5 of them here, and I'll just read the scenario to you, and you tell me hustle
Just based on the scenario
or fake hustle.
the situation.
Based on the situation. And I think here's an important reason why we should do this. And I'm going to try to include other sports besides baseball in some of these scenarios. Because really, I think hustle looks different from sport to sport. It doesn't always look different. But there are times, it doesn't. There are moments when hustle is needed in some sports. I'll say it that way. It looks different. It looks different.
And I
in
think it
some
looks
sports.
different from task to task.
For example,
sometimes.
I'll give you 2 examples, and then I won't even elaborate. I'll just give them. I'll say
Okay.
one example is baseball player. So I'm going to give 2 examples of players coming off the field. Okay.
Okay.
Baseball player in the batter's box strikes out, going back to the dugout. Football player in the huddle gets substituted out for, going back to the sideline. Which one should sprint? Some people would say both. I would say, what would you say?
Well, I would say the football player.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because if you don't,
It's a penalty.
your team could become penalized. And so not only does it look bad, so you're not sprinting necessarily just because it looks bad. Oh yeah, that looks bad. And it's going to reflect on you and your team and your coach and everything else. However, your team could also get penalized if you don't bust your tail over to the sideline.
Yes.
And then we can talk about the baseball one later if you want, because it's on my list.
Okay.
The batter walking or sprinting back to the dugout.
Well, you know,
Or we can even include jog, even though a jog wouldn't be defined as hustle probably,
see, and to
except
me-
at certain points.
Yeah, and to me, I said earlier, I think it depends on the task, because to me,
Yeah.
the hustle in that situation is all about body language.
Man, that's a great point.
Because if that batter is walking back to the dugout, dejected, angry, umpire called a bad strike, complaining, whatever they're doing, I think there's a lot of negative things you could do on that walk. That's not hustle. But if they're coming back, I would say with intent, with maybe frustration, but a controlled attitude, controlling their body, a confident. I know I'm going back out.
I got
field.
beat there, but I'm thinking about it.
Right, and to me, I would say that's and really it would be more of a mental hustle.
And he could do that walking.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah. Yep.
So, okay. All right. Let me give you one.
All right.
Outfielder sprints from the dugout to his position between innings. Hustle or fake hustle?
Hustle.
I agree. I can't stand to watch guys run on and off the field. Even though it has no bearing on the game, I disagree with that statement that I just made, actually, because of one of the bullet points in my manual. The next bullet point down, when I stopped reading them because we played the Bryce Harper thing, is the next bullet point down says, we will play fast games, wasting no time between innings or at bats because we want to determine the pace.
Yes.
And that's important to me, to get on the field, get warmed up, and get ready to go before the other team is ready to hit.
Yes. You control the game.
Yeah, and it's a little thing. It's a small detail. It's tying your shoes the right way, according to John Wooden, right?
Let me tell you.
But it's important.
It's very important. And I'll tell you why. I seen it firsthand in my 12U baseball team this year. I asked these guys to do 3 things for me at the beginning of fall ball season. I asked them to have high energy, to hustle, and to have fun. Those were the 3 things that I asked them to do, because I feel like in the past the group has kind of struggled.
the same
to do that.
thing.
It is, and and here's the thing: they bought in. They bought in because I would chirp at them and I'd get on them. Hey, we're dropping our momentum here. Our energy's low. Let's hurry out on the field. And there was a couple games throughout the season that, in saying that, we kind of came back and won the game. So they bought into it a little bit. In our last game, we lost, but we got down 3-0 in the first inning. Gave up a home run. We came off the field, and I didn't see any nervousness. I didn't see any woe is me. I didn't see any of that in the eyes of these players. That's the first thing I noticed. And I was just saying, yep, I like what I'm seeing here. Let's just keep doing what we're doing. Keep controlling. And they kept hustling back out on the field. They kept moving back out on the field. We got down 5-0. Same thing. No worries. They just kept doing what they were doing what they're doing all year. And we actually came back. We tied the game 5-5. Ended up losing, but that's what I told him at the end of the game, that I think we played that game to the best of our ability, and we did what we controlled what we could control, and it just didn't turn out in our favor.
And that's the key. They had something that they could fall back to.
Yes.
When adversity was hitting and things that were happening to them in the game that were out of their control, they had something they could fall back to and do and control 100%.
Yep.
And that was play with energy and hustle and have a great attitude doing it and have fun doing it. And it's those types of rules that we have on our teams because we know they can actually impact the result of a game.
Absolutely.
Sometimes they don't, like in your situation, but still it felt good. Like you're telling that story now, and who cares what your fall ball team score was at the end of that game? That's a win.
Yeah, I think
a
so.
month later, that's a win.
Sure, and I think it comes down. It did impact the game because I think, and I told my parents this, or my parents. I told our parents this. I think a lot of teams would have given up there.
Sure,
they would end up losing 8-0.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah.
I saw a football game this year where a team actually was in control, moving the ball down the field. I mean, pounding it right down the throat of the team that they're playing. Down the field, they get all the way inside the 10 and turn it over. Unfortunate thing.
Right.
Well, the first play of the from scrimmage from the opponent went about 70 yards, and all of a sudden they're in the red zone and they move it in and they score. And then it was almost like, this was the first quarter, and it was almost like
we're done.
The body language was, well, here we go.
Yep. And that impacts you as a person, and it impacts your teammates.
It does. And they got pounded. The score was lopsided. It was a running clock before, in the second half. And it was a shame to see because my thought was they can move the ball on this team. But they for some reason they decided they couldn't, or they decided that now that we're behind. And I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Let me give you a follow-up to this scenario. So the outfielder sprints to his position and then back off the field between innings.
Yep.
Follow-up is, during the inning, same outfielder fails to back up bases on throws to bases.
It's like hustle, right?
So is the hustle that he's doing between innings still real, or is it fake?
Probably fake.
It changes it, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think that goes back to my point of, what do you see out of that player all the time?
All the time.
And when I say if the player sprints from the batter's box to the dugout all the time, might not be fake hustle. But if the player is angry and is trying, I've seen this.
Yeah.
They're trying to
Get back in
show
there as
up
quick
the
as
umpire,
possible.
or just they have a.
I loved it as a pitcher. I loved it when a player sprinted back to the dugout. Get back in there, quick boy. Sit down. Get in there and sit down.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah, I just think hustle is as you talked about, it's who you are, and you either do it or you don't, right? And if you choose only certain spots to do it, then the other times are false. You gotta do it all.
Let me give you a basketball one.
Okay.
Player, you're on defense.
Yeah.
And player runs through the passing lane or lunges or dives to try to get a steal on a pass, but doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Real hustle, fake hustle.
What now?
You're playing defense, and you're trying to get to it, and you're trying to steal a pass that you have a low percentage chance of getting it.
Oh, with the wrong arm, with the wrong hand.
Or just with anything. Just lunging into the passing lane and then not getting the steal.
Yeah. I think honestly,
I have a strong opinion about this.
Okay,
but I'll let you answer.
What I would
first.
say is this: it probably depends on the situation. But if you're talking in the middle of the game, when getting the ball isn't a priority, when taking a, I would say there's a time when you want it. There's a time to take.
Yeah, context is everything when it comes to this.
Yeah. But no, I mean that's.
As a general rule, though, players
because what you're doing,
because fans get excited about that. Oh yeah, go for it. I mean, get the steal, right?
But what you're doing in that moment, and it's a good. Matt Williams said it. You're making the game, the team, less than you because you're trying to get a steal. But what's most important at that moment for the team?
Playing defense.
Yeah,
playing good defense.
And you're
disciplined defense.
Yeah, and you're bailing on
you're out of position.
You're bailing on your responsibility.
Yeah.
So I mean that's
Yeah, there are coaches, good basketball coaches, who coach their players do not go for steals. Mm-hmm. And I can give you the name of a college coach that does that and the name of a high school coach that does that. And their teams get some steals.
Yeah.
Because offenses will make mistakes and throw the ball to you. And so you have a high percentage steal where you're in the passing lane because you're playing good defense and the ball comes to you and you get it and go. But they do not gamble for steals. Coach Cal is one of those.
Yeah.
I've heard a little, little like a tutorial online tutorial. Back when I was doing some youth basketball coaching, I was watching those all the time. And he said, it is important to us to get back on defense, to play good, hard defense, and we'll deny. We'll deny. We'll play good help side defense when it's needed. But if we are playing good, disciplined defense, the turnovers will come to us. We don't have to gamble and go out and lunge in the passing lanes for turnovers.
Yeah.
And Coach Caldwell, I know, teaches that as well. Yeah. In high
Gotcha.
school.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I really like that. It drives me nuts to see players go for steals, and then now you're playing 5-on-4.
What do they normally do after they miss the steal? That's another thing.
They don't hustle back to the play defense.
They're defeated, aren't they?
They're defeated. 'cause
See
you
that
missed
a
the
lot.
steal. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm down.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Gosh, I remember this. I just remember. We should try to have her on the podcast, but she's an OU student right now. She runs track or jumps track. Cassidy
Oh
Batson.
yeah. I see her sometimes.
I remember her senior year. I think it was her last game she ever played at Meg's. The clock was running out. They needed the ball, and she was going after the ball to get a steal. And this kind of flies in the face of what you're saying, but this is a situation where
It's at the end of the game.
Right.
She needed a steal.
and she fell down. She got up, went right back at the ball, fell down again, got up, went right back at the ball, and I'll never forget that because I can't remember what team they were playing, but the fans were their fans were giving her a hard time, because she fell down twice, and she just came back and just went after it again. That's hustle.
The situation dictated it.
Yes, absolutely.
I think we should remember that as a definition. The situation dictated that effort.
Yeah, and what she
that
did
type
there,
of effort.
what some people were saying was a embarrassing thing or a failure on her part. She wasn't letting that keep her from
Right.
putting from doing what was best for the team.
And having watched her play, she's a person who understood the different types of approaches in different situations because she didn't play defense like that all the time.
Right.
I would say a person who plays defense like that all the time is an undisciplined defensive player.
Probably isn't in the game much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Here, I'll give you another basketball one.
Okay.
Since we're in the basketball season here, getting ready to start some basketball in high school sports. Crowding the rebounder. Rebounder comes down with the ball. Now you're on defense, or you should be transitioning to defense, right?
I got you.
Okay, this is a pet peeve of mine when I'm watching high school basketball, especially girls basketball. The officials let this happen way too much. I would
Tie-ups.
I would whistle it a foul every time.
You should.
I hate that. I hate it. I absolutely hate it when a rebounder comes down for a ball and and the disciplined. I think the better thing to do is to sprint and get back on defense. However, it's easier to stand there and reach for the ball and try to act like you're making it hard for the rebounder. I tell you what, if that's me with that, I taught Kaylee to swing your elbows. They call a foul on you, big deal.
Yeah.
Swing them.
Well,
they'll stop doing it if you hit them in the jaw one time with an elbow. You know what I'm saying?
I think that is
So
a
the
key,
official's
though.
not going to call it. You got to do something about it. You're getting mugged under there.
When you come down, that's when you rebound a basketball. You should come down in a pivot,
Clear it, yeah.
Almost in a triple threat position
Right.
where you got the ball under
Chin
your
it.
chin and
Yep.
and keep. And so for defenders that are doing that, they do get the foul called. But you're right. And that's what I think that is. That's a youth league move, or that's a move.
Boy, it's happening a lot in high school.
I
Watch
know,
high school.
it's just
it's ugly. It's ugly basketball.
I feel like it's bush league.
I do too.
Yeah.
I really do.
I mean, I've even said that,
Get back. I'm hollering, get back.
just tie it up I remember my youngest son played I think 4th grade basketball when he was a first grader or something like that, and he would go in there and grab that ball, and all the fans would love it, and I'm sitting over on the bench going, oh my gosh.
Oh, everybody wants to see a basketball game with 40 jump balls.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, it comes back, yeah, right. You get the ball back, and they're like, good job, good job, good job. I'm like, no, that's not good.
The guy on the possession change is like, oh, here we go again. Possession change, possession change, possession change.
I wonder what the. You know what? I've got. I'm gonna find out what some really good basketball minds think about.
Yeah,
that.
maybe
because
maybe we baseball guys don't know what the heck we're talking about, but I hate watching it. I'll tell you that. I hate watching that.
Yeah.
If I were an official, I'd whistle it quick. I'd whistle it a couple times quick, and you slap a couple fouls on somebody that does that bull crap, it's going to stop.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't like it either. I never have. So I don't. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't like it either.
I think that kind of thing is an example of false hustle. Because it looks like, oh, yeah, look, they're tying them up. No, just get back. That's hustle.
Yeah.
Get back on defense.
Yep. Good call. I'm with you on that. I think
right.
you're going to benefit in the long run a lot more by getting back on defense than you are trying to tie that ball up.
It's the total game thing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like going for a steal. No, it's better to play total discipline, defense for the whole game, because that's a long view in mind type of perspective.
Right.
All right, back to baseball. Here's another scenario.
America's
That's
game.
right. Diving headfirst into first base. On a ground ball, you hit to the infield. Usually this is what? The last out of the game. In a lot of cases.
Huh.
Isn't it? Players trying to hustle out for that ground ball, doesn't want to be the last out, and he slides into first base, dives headfirst into first base.
Yeah.
Is that hustle?
No. In that scenario, no.
I don't think in any scenario it's hustle.
Well, here's the thing.
Well, I shouldn't say any. That's definitive.
Yeah.
There is one scenario where I would say that's a wise move.
On a tag.
To avoid a tag.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Because why? Because we know.
Science,
Which
which can be trusted.
Yes.
In this situation, it can be trusted.
It can always be trusted.
That's right. It can always be trusted.
You just can't pick and choose.
You can't pick and choose your science, right? But this is real factual science, and that is what?
You're faster when you're on your feet.
As soon as a body part makes friction with the ground, you've slowed yourself down.
Yeah.
And so unless you can sprint and dive, and the first thing that hits is your hands on that bag.
Yeah.
It's quicker to run through the bag.
Even then, I think you slow down when you go to leap, because when you're running to first, you don't want to leap. Like a lot of base runners will take one last leap.
Yeah.
It's better to take those short.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever seen a track runner leap across the finish line? Have you ever seen a track runner dive head first across the finish line?
As a matter of fact, that's what makes track runners so precise in their running, is that they practice shortening their steps as much as they can. They keep stepping underneath.
And the exact same stride, you see the exact same stride going across the finish line, same speed, same stride going across the finish line as you do it back in the middle of the race.
Yeah.
We can learn a lot from track runners as baseball players. Run through the bag in that same way.
Yeah.
It's hard for an umpire to call that safe as well. It obstructs. You're not used to seeing that as an umpire. I don't think it's a wise move by a baseball player to do that. That's an unusual way for a runner to go into first base, because you're looking for the foot to hit the bag and listening for the ball to hit the glove, right? As an umpire, is that the mechanic there?
Yeah.
Your eyes are on the base, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden, he just dove into the base, and it made a lot of noise because I heard him hit the ground. It
So why are you
obstructs.
doing
I think
it?
it obstructs the umpire. I can't tell you the last time I saw a runner be safe doing that.
I'm trying to think. I
have you
haven't
ever
seen it recently, but
seen somebody do it recently?
Yeah.
Well, good. They're being better coached.
yeah.
I mean, I get it. A player's trying to hustle, but again, let's ask the question: did you do it in the third inning when you hit a ground ball to second base?
Right.
Do you do it all the time? It's unusual for a reason.
Yeah.
Because it's not the best way to do it.
There's no reason to dive. If you're not avoiding a tag, there's no reason to dive into the second base. There's never reason to. I mean, you don't slide unless you're. That's that's why you do those things. So,
Yeah. Another baseball one here for you. Base on balls or hit by pitch, sprinting to first base.
that's hustle, baby.
I like to see it.
Yeah.
It doesn't impact the game.
You don't think it's hustle?
No, I do.
yeah.
I like it.
I tell you what it impacts. Impacts your team. Yeah.
It's enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm.
It gives energy. It's an energy-giving play, and therefore, it's real hustle.
Yeah. I think so. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And especially if you do it all the time, which
Yes.
I want guys to do it all the time.
Yep.
If they don't, they're hearing from me.
We want to party in the dugout when we get hit, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
It's exciting.
So let's go ahead and come to that one that we briefly mentioned earlier, and that is sprinting back to the dugout after a strikeout or sprinting out to the plate to go hit. You're the next guy up, sprint to the plate. You strike out, sprint back to the dugout. False or real hustle?
Again, I think it goes, to me, it's odd, but if that's what you do every time,
It is
then I can buy it.
unusual.
But here's the thing. If you sprint back to the dugout and then you walk back to your position in between
Right.
innings,
There's the inconsistency.
Yeah.
So
You can't-
therefore, it was fake.
yes.
Yeah.
If it's not who you are, then it's fake. There's no reason to just hustle sometimes.
Right. Yeah. In order for it to be false or fake, I think it has to come down to what is your character.
Yeah.
Are you doing it all the time? I think more times than not, this kind of thing looks fake. It's weird. And I've changed in this respect because I actually used to teach that. I used to say, you know what, striking out's an embarrassing thing. Get out of there as quick as possible. And, but I don't like that's young Chris, coach. I mean that's back when I was like everything's black and white. There's no middle ground here, and so I think there are times. Here's what I mean by that. By the fact that I've changed in my mindset. My mindset now is I believe that the way we define hustle, and I think we're sort of unpacking the word hustle here and defining it without coming out. So maybe I'll give a definition of my own. But I think the way we're defining it here is there are times when walking is the best approach in that context, or jogging is the better approach in that context. Sure. Which means hustle is not limited to, like I said earlier, running or sprinting. It has a bigger definition. And so if I'm a hitter and I strike out, I'm frustrated about that. I don't like it, whether I swung through the pitch or the umpire called me out. But I don't necessarily want to see my guys sprinting to the dugout.
Yeah.
I want to see them walking respectfully with your hand back down on the barrel of the bat, not dragging it behind you, not with your head down, your tail between your legs, but with some retrospect, right? And, being mindful of what happened there. What did I do wrong? What can I do better next time? Evaluating what's going on. You're not staring anybody down. You're not going back to the dugout and slamming helmets and things like that. That I think the whole picture of how you behave, how you respond and react in those kinds of situations determines for me whether or not you're doing it with excellence. Because if we're equating hustle and excellence, I think that's where that comes into play a little bit. And so I think if I were to define hustle, like with an actual definition, I would say it is how hard a person tries, or like what kind of effort they're giving, which includes having wisdom in understanding every situation and what the best approach is in that situation.
Sure.
And so there are going to be times, like giving 100% isn't always trying to steal the pass in basketball.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, that might be unwise and undisciplined.
Yeah.
And so
that's
it's
a good
not
word.
100%.
That's a good
It
word.
looks like 100% to the naked eye, to the fan that doesn't know anything about basketball. Oh, wow, look at that person hustling. It's cringe, though. It's eyewash. I don't want to see
giving
it.
100% or a disciplined 100%.
Disciplined 100% effort.
Yeah. Right. Or an
Yeah.
efficient, you could say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's.
Yeah, it comes back to that. What is the right response in that situation?
Yep.
And if it is go as hard as you can, go as fast as you can from point A to point B, that's the right response. It's not necessary in this situation, when you strike out.
Yep.
In fact, maybe we want the on-deck batter to have a little bit more time to get in there and get ready to go before the umpire starts saying, come on, batter, come on, batter. Well, he's saying that because you sprinted your butt to the dugout, and now your next
That's a
next
great
hitter is
point.
getting rushed, right?
Right.
There's always these little nuances to the game that we don't think about, but they happen.
Yeah, and
they happen.
Yeah, sure. And I think having the same approach to the plate and the same approach as you do, what would be the word, as you as the exit. I think there's some value in that
Yeah.
too, because we talk
Going
about
to the plate and exiting the plate is the same approach.
Yeah.
I
Because
agree.
when things go wrong, we want to be able to go back to some common ways that we can refocus.
Yeah.
And and
Yeah.
really, so we can get back to
Right.
giving 100% disciplined effort, right? And maybe that's that time that as you're walking back from home plate to the dugout, that you're as you're evaluating what you did during that at bat, you're also thinking, let me get ready for what I need to do next.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if that walk is slower than your normal walk would be,
Yep.
that looks bad.
Yep.
You're moping.
Yep.
Right? You're pouting because of that strikeout.
Yep.
There's a fine line, I think, between what's just the right approach.
Comes down to why you're doing it.
Why? Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or
it
who-
always comes down.
or who you're doing
Who
it
you're
for.
doing it for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Good stuff.
All right, let me give you another one here. Sprinting on a pop-up, you hit a pop-up to shortstop, and you sprint it out as hard as you can, or like between shortstop and left field or something like that. But it's routine. You're probably going to be caught. Sprint it out as hard as you can, trying to round that bag to get to second.
That's hustle. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no question about it.
Yeah.
Because nothing's routine in the game. It could be dropped.
Well,
That's an easy question.
Here's how you know that's hustle. Because if you've ever seen someone do it and make it to second because the outfield drops,
Yeah.
there is, or the infield drop, there is an immediate boost of energy to that team.
Yeah.
To that offensive team.
I've told you the story before about how Brock scored from first base with 2 outs and a pop up to second base.
Yeah, we talked about
at
that.
Chillicothe. Yeah, the bases were loaded. In fact, all those runners scored, and the guy that hit the ball ended up on second base.
Yep.
Yeah, it was pretty cool to see. That's one of my favorite video clips. of
Oh, wow.
all of
You
his-
have that videoed.
I do. Of all of
I'd
his
like to see that as
from
well.
the GoPro behind the screen.
Yes.
Yeah, because when he came sliding, they made a play at the plate, and he was saying, actually, that was the hustle was part of it. The slide was the second part of it because he slid way back, he saw the throw coming, he saw the catcher like going up to catch it, and so he slid up way in front of the plate, and then reached back and slapped it with his hand, so the catcher couldn't reach him.
Are you sure you didn't run on
And
a
it was,
baseline?
Yeah,
Just kidding.
right. No, he very much avoided that tag. That was without
awesome.
a doubt. But no, it was a really cool play. But it was, and you talk about energy, because we're playing a D1 team. It was Canal Winchester who was actually supposed to win the Central Ohio. What are they in?
I'm not
I
sure.
don't know. My brother will correct me on that.
Yeah, I know.
All those big schools up in Columbus area, but they came in there. We met them in Chillicothe. They were thinking, the D2 team will beat these guys. Took it to them, buddy.
What a great team to take advantage of that on. Because,
Right.
you're thinking D1, they're going to make that
Oh
play.
yeah, it was tough. Nothing was sure out there at that, and plus when you're playing on that all turf, it was a really high pop up. So when that kid missed it, it bounced another 20 feet in the air, and so then he's got to catch another one because you got to wait for it to come down after
Oh,
it bounced. It was pretty
man.
wild. Oh, it was such a fun play to watch. It was really cool. So let me give you another caveat here. So that's a pop up to shortstop, which is in play. What if you the batter hit a pop up that it goes up and it clearly is going out of play? Like there's no chance whatsoever that ball is coming back in play. Do you want to see your runner? Do you want to see your hitter drop the bat and sprint through first base until he hears the umpire say foul ball?
No.
I've heard that as some rules on some teams. You sprint until you hear the umpire shout foul.
I think that is yes.
I think it's a waste of energy, to be quite honest.
That is
It's unnecessary.
It's a poor attempt at teaching hustle.
Yeah, I
is
agree.
what that is.
Yeah.
I would expect them to sprint until they know it's a foul.
If it's questionable, right?
Yeah.
Because you hit a pop up that could end up coming back into fair territory, then you're in trouble if you don't sprint it.
Sure.
But
Yeah, I mean,
there
if
are
it's
balls.
out of play and going, I mean, you know,
even if it's not out of play, let's say it's behind you up against the backstop.
Sure,
Do you need to
no.
run to first base on that?
No.
You
That's-
see players do that all the time.
it looks silly.
It does
is
look
what
silly.
does, and it's
I'm always going, hey, save it. I'm shouting. You heard me this summer doing that. We had guys doing that all summer long. I'm like, save it. It's out of play. Keep your bat in your hands. Get back there. Get ready for the next pitch.
I don't
They're
remember
dropping their bats and running. I'm like, what are you doing?
They're trying to
have
impress
some
you,
awareness
dude.
of where the ball is. It went all the way down by the school, you know?
They got to go to the cafeteria to get that.
That's right.
To return that baseball.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
Unnecessary.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's fake hustle.
Yep.
I think. So there you go. I mean, two different kinds of pop-ups: fair ball, foul ball.
Sure.
Sprint one out, the other one no. Take a deep breath. Step back. And get ready for the next pitch. I
Yep.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might have been all of them. It might have been all of them I had.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, but those are some. I mean, it's just some example. I think it helps define like the fact that it doesn't. You can't just define hustle with a hard line, black and white answer. It's not always just sprinting everything. It just isn't. There are times when I'm okay with our guys jogging off the field in practice instead of sprinting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever want to see them walk. I think that builds a bad habit. What do you think?
I agree. Ultimately, I think when we talking about hustle this morning, for me it was just getting across the point to coaches of youth athletes, to parents. Definitely prioritize this. Put this at the top of your list of things that are important in your season. Right beside the number of wins, right beside the number of trophies, right beside the team batting average, things like that. Because these are things that actually dictate those things. These are fundamentals that can have an impact on all of those things. And if a kid is taught how to hustle, they're going to be a better player at the next level that they go to. Regardless.
And that's a great point. I would say, when in doubt, because the way we've talked about it here today, we've talked about it. Well, you got to understand the context and the situation, and what is real hustle and what's not hustle.
Mm-hmm.
But I would still say, when in doubt, go all out.
Sure.
Oh, that rhymed. I didn't even mean to do that. I didn't
You're
plan.
putting it up.
When in doubt, give it everything. I mean, hustle. When in doubt, sprint. When in doubt, give your best effort. And that way you don't really have to think about whether or not the situation is right or not. It's just, and then what happens? It becomes who you are. And that's the whole key of hustle, is making it your character. And if that's your character, no one's even going to question it. No one's going to be like, that's fake. No, no, dude, that's the way that guy is all the time. Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, that's better than having the kind of character that looks like, boy, it looks like he's loafing, doesn't it? It looks like he's not running everything out. He's not. Well, why didn't that guy ever sprint? I mean, I don't want that kind of character as a player.
Yeah.
I don't want that kind of kid with that kind of character as a coach.
Yeah, and college coaches don't want those kind of players either. Cool guys.
Yeah, they don't want the cool guys unless they can throw 98.
They might. Hey, I'll say something.
All right.
I remember this being a thing. We had a guy. I played with a guy named Scotty George when I was a freshman, and
How's Scotty George?
sophomore. So a sophomore. You know Scotty?
Yeah.
He threw low 90s. I think low to mid 90s.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah. He's not a very big guy. He just had great mechanics and a fierce competitiveness to him.
Yeah, I didn't see him play as an older kid. I remember as a youth player.
Oh yeah. He threw real well. He I mean, him and Gary Stanley, were a huge part of that 1996, state tournament Megs baseball team. But guys would grumble about him because he would always be first in practice. When we'd run our sprints, when we would jog, he would always be first. He would always pull us. He'd always push us.
Yeah.
People would be like, I wish Scotty would, quit pushing so hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They never called it fake hustle because that They didn't. Well, and here's why. They didn't, because that's who he was. That's
what he did all the time.
And even though they grumbled, they didn't. It wasn't that they were really angry about it.
Yeah.
They're just like, I wish he wasn't. That's not who he was.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's
because
who,
it's making me feel like I should be that way.
Yes,
Yeah, you should be.
And it, it wasn't necessarily the cool thing to do, but he went and played college baseball. So and he was a leader. And
Yeah.
so that's an example.
Well, he wasn't just doing it. He wasn't turning it up a notch because he knew somebody was watching.
No.
He was just doing it all the time.
Just who he
and
was.
Then if that's the case, that's real hustle.
Yep.
But if you're doing it at specific times when you wouldn't do it in that same situation another time, you got to wonder, well, why am I, like you said, what's your why? Why am I doing it?
Yep. I'll tell you another thing about Scotty. He'd take a pitch
To the ribs?
any day. I think he got hit 20 plus times his senior year, just because he'd crowd the plate and just he'd take a pitch. He'd take a pitch to get on base. So why was he doing that?
That energizes people.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it
Yeah.
scores runs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Good stuff.
So, you ready to hustle out of here?
Yeah, let's get out of here.
Well, if you like listening to the Coaching Life podcast, let us know and give us some ideas, because obviously we are having a hard time coming up with them since we came up with this topic less than an hour before we came in here. But thanks for the ideas, Coach Burton. We'll jump in there.
Yeah, we'll
with
get that.
I like the focus before games. He sent me another one too while we were getting ready here. It was more of a baseball specific one, throwing certain pitches now to set up a pitch as a setup pitch for a later pitch to get the batters out, things like that. Boy, he's getting tactical now.
Can't talk about that, Coach. You're giving away your secrets.
Wait. We're not going to put this out in the public.
Don't give a scouting
We'll keep
report.
this.
We're not-
We'll keep this. We'll talk about this behind closed doors, Coach Burton. Come on, not too much. So no, awesome,
Coach,
Cool.
appreciate the conversation as always.
Yeah, thanks for the topic.
Thanks for joining us, everyone.